I'm Drew Goldfarb. Welcome to this post-trade deadline edition of Betting for the Cycle. We're giving you 4 picks for upcoming baseball games, matchups, or prop bets, and trying to go 4 for 4 to bet for the cycle. Here's how this all works. I'm going to pose 4 potential wagers or daily fantasy comparisons. Our experts and I will each give you our picks and rank them based on how confident we are in the outcome. Least confident pick, as always, the single. Most confident pick, the home run. We'll each have a pick that we consider to be a home run, a triple, a double, and a single each and every week, giving us a chance at betting for the cycle. Our individual stats being tracked all season long. Those will show up on the screen as we go along in this episode. As always, I'm joined by Taylor Smith and Jim Baviglia. We are all calming down here since the trade deadline is officially passed. About 90 minutes before we started recording this, it passed, and then maybe an hour ago is when the trade stopped coming in. This week, all about the players who have been dealt or should have been dealt, could have been dealt at the deadline. We begin with Marcus Stroman, who was traded from the Blue Jays to the Mets. His average DraftKings daily fantasy score this season, 15.65 points. Expected to make his debut in the orange and blue Saturday at Citi Field against Pittsburgh. Taylor, over under 15.65 fantasy points for Stroman in his New York Mets debut.
So Stroman's not a big strikeout guy, and strikeouts are kind of the name of the game with fantasy, but it's a good matchup for him. Citi Field's a good pitcher's park, which is an upgrade from his old home park in Toronto. The Pirates aren't a big strikeout lineup in the first place, but they did just trade one of their actual good hitters in Corey Dickerson, so the lineup's a little bit weaker now. 15 I think you said 6.5 fantasy points is not a ton. Stroman can go deep into the game. He's the kind of guy that seems to get amped up for these big kind of starts. So in his debut in New York, the crowd should be fired up. I'll just take the over here, and it's my triple this week.
Jim?
Yeah, I'm actually going to match Taylor both with the pick and the confidence. I'm also going to make it my triple. He really basically needs a quality start is what we're looking for out of him here. Taylor mentioned no Corey Dickerson, who's the big righty basher in that Pirates lineup now with Phillies. And Josh Bell has really slumped the last few weeks or so. So that's another guy that, normally you'd be worrying a bit more about. And the Mets, can't really factor wins into this because it's really tough to get a win, especially with the way the Mets bullpen have been pitching lately. But I think just a quality start gets it done for him. And so I'm going to go with Stroman as well, and I'm going to make my triple as well.
I'm going to make it unanimous, taking the over. This is my home run pick for the week. Definitely a home run homerer pick, I guess you could call it for this Mets fan. But look at the numbers. If you take a season averages, Stroman goes 7 complete. Even if he doesn't get the win, he'd still score 17 fantasy points. If he pitches an average game for him and gets the win in over only 5 innings, which is the obvious minimum to earn a win for a starting pitcher, he'd get 16.6. This is a kid from Long Island. He grew up a Mets fan. He's getting to make his Mets debut at home. He's never pitched at Citi Field before, and while I'm sure there will be some nerves, you gotta believe he'll represent Long Island well. Over 15.65 points. It's my home run for the week because, the Mets are making a push. They're gonna go for it, is what one of the baseball beat writers was saying, even though they're in 4th place in their division. For question 2, we're looking at Trevor Bauer after throwing a bit of a 300-foot tantrum. While he was taken out of his last start with the Cleveland Indians, he was then traded across Ohio to the Cincinnati Reds, part of a 3-team trade that also involved the San Diego Padres. Bauer's daily fantasy average for the year, 21.21 points. So Jim, over under 21.21 points for him in his debut at Cincinnati. We are expecting that to come this weekend, which would mean it would be against the Atlanta Braves, by the way, so keep that in mind.
Yeah, so this should be my homer pick, but I'm actually, because I'm a Reds fan, but I'm actually going to go with the under. I think the bar is set pretty high because of, Bauer's normal stats. 21 points is a little bit tougher to get, obviously. And he's facing a really good lineup in the Braves. There's not a lot of easy outs that you can get. They are a little bit weaker maybe right now with some guys hurt. But, you go through the top of that order, that gauntlet with Acuna and with Freeman and Donaldson. They have Adam Duvall's killing the ball right now. There's really nowhere to run with that lineup. So I'm going to go with the under here, and I'm actually going to make that my double.
I'm also taking the under, also taking it as my double. Started looking at Bauer's numbers, figured that the fact that he's pitched a complete game shutout this season would skew the results, as would playing for a really good team like Cleveland. But they really didn't. If he pitches 7 full innings and keeps his K9 rate and whip consistent with his season numbers, he wouldn't even need a decision to top the totals. But he's only pitched 7 or more innings twice in his last 8 starts. In his last 10 for the Tribe, he surpassed that 21.21 point total 6 times. Also worth mentioning, he's hit 14 batters this season, which is the most for any single pitcher. 2 more than Chris Sale's 12, 4 more than Aaron Sanchez or Julio Teheran, who have each plunked 10. Facing Atlanta makes this tough because he'd seem unlikely to earn a W against a team like the Braves when he's pitching for the Reds especially. So I'm taking the under, making it my double because he's too inconsistent to count on a strong performance and going deep into the game. And the Braves are too good to bank on him getting a win, and he'd need at least one of those to be able to get to that 21-21 mark. Taylor, you making it unanimous, or is Bauer going to top that 21-21?
I'm going to make it unanimous in every way possible. I'm taking Bauer to go under as my double. Like you guys were saying, tough offense in Atlanta, low strikeout offense as well, 21% against right-handed pitching on the year. Bauer's also been really bad against lefties, 340 WOBA allowed with 15 home runs. The Braves can throw 4 to 5 lefties in the lineup there against him. And I think it's interesting to note that Bauer leads the league in pitches per game this season, 111.9. which is over 4 more than the next highest guy at Lance Lynn. He's changing teams now. We have no idea if they're going to let him throw as many pitches as Terry Francona was happy to let him throw, which is obviously huge. Even if he gives up a few runs, just staying in the game longer can help him accrue more points. So I'm with you guys. I'm taking the under. There are plenty of question marks here, and just the bad matchup is probably topping the list. So under.
Number 3, we stick with that trade. The Indians acquired 2 big bats in that deal, and Yasiel Puig from Cincinnati, Franmil Reyes from San Diego. They should take over the corner outfield positions for Cleveland from Tyler Naquin and Jordan Luplow, respectively. The players that they're replacing have combined for just 20 home runs this season in 132 games. Puig and Reyes have 22 and 27 dingers, respectively, in about 100 games apiece. This weekend, the Indians host the Los Angeles Angels. Will Puig and Reyes combine for over or under 2.5 home runs? That means basically averaging 1 a game or fewer than that. I'm up first. I'm going to take the under, just making it my single. Reyes has only hit 3 home runs in the month of July as of this recording, and 2 since the All-Star break. Puig has 5, but only 2 since the All-Star break and none since July 15th. Could definitely see this trade sparking them both a bit, and Reyes especially should benefit playing in the much friendlier progressive field compared to San Diego's Petco Park. Cincinnati and Cleveland have similar home run park factors this season. Expecting them to combine for 1 home run in each game of a 3-game series is a little too steep of a prediction for me to make, given their recent performances. So I'm going to take the under, say they'll probably each homer once in the series. Taylor, what about you?
I'm going under 2. We don't know if they're going to play every game, both of them. One of them could get a day off. Another one could get another day off. We have no idea. The Angels, as of now, are set up to have Felix Pena, Jaime Barria, and Griffin Canning this weekend. Not the easiest run if you're the Indians. Jaime Barria is not very good, but Pena and Canning have had success at times, especially against right-handed hitters. So I'm going the under. I'm a little more confident in this. It's going to be my home run, but taking the under again.
I do like the idea of taking a home run confidence level pick on a pick about home run totals. Very nice. Jim, are you also going under, or are we getting a little deviation here?
No, I'm going under, not with a lot of confidence, though. I'm going to make it my single. My main concern is what Taylor mentioned, that one of these guys, or both, I think, probably sits out one of the 3-game series. So that makes it very difficult. Because the Indians, the guys they're replacing, they didn't have a lot of power, but Naquin actually, his OPS is pretty good against right-handed pitching, so I could see him getting a start in one of those games. You got 3 right-handed pitchers, most likely, as Taylor mentioned, so you got righty there. And so I think the main concern for me is the playing time issue. And so, knock one of them or both of them out for a game, then they're really pressed to have to hit a home run almost in every game that they play to match that 2.5. So that's my concern. I'm going to go under. I could see them stepping up, the first series. Puig has a flair for the dramatic, so that's why I'm not that confident. I'm only going to make it my single with the under.
And Puig, as we're sitting here right now, we have not heard if there are or are not suspensions stemming from Puig's final game with the Reds. That incredible brawl that more resembled some 1970s NHL hockey with the Broad Street Bullies than a Cincinnati Reds game. But we will see how that plays out. Last one to complete the cycle, turning to the two aces that we thought might be on the move that ended up sticking around. After it seemed like Noah Syndergaard was totally, definitely, absolutely on his way out of Queens, Mets decided to hang on to him. I'm happy about it. Giants, likewise, did not end up dealing away Madison Bumgarner, which is interesting with him being in the last year of his contract. We're doing a long-term pick here. This is the question. Will San Francisco or New York win more games starting on August 1st onward that are started by the aces they kept? This is not the pitcher themselves earning a win. This is the game result. Which team will win more that are started by either Bumgarner or Syndergaard? Taylor?
I'm not very confident here in backing the Mets, but that's what I'm going to do. It's my single. The Mets in the NL East, they get 8 games against Miami. I imagine Syndergaard will get, 1 or 2 of those, which is nice. Whereas Madison Bumgarner's in the NL West. He's presumably pitching at Coors Field this weekend. They got to face the Dodgers. They face the Padres. They go to the Cubs. They go to Boston. So, they got Philadelphia and Washington. It's a tough schedule for San Francisco, and I just don't think the Giants' success is as sustainable as the Mets. I think the Mets actually have decent talent. I'm not surprised they've kind of gotten hot lately. The Giants just seem more of a flash in the pan to me. Doesn't feel great backing the Mets, as I said, but I'm going to do it, and it's my single.
Jim?
Yeah, I'm going to do it as well. I'm going to go with Syndergaard as the one who gets his team gets more wins while he's pitching, and I'm going to actually make it my home run. There's something that Taylor said. I feel like the Mets do have more talent, so that's a big thing. The other thing is I feel like Syndergaard has found something lately. Last 4 starts, 28 in the third inning, only 6 earned runs, 36 strikeouts to 6 walks in those starts. He had really been kind of under pitching compared to his peripherals all season long, so I think maybe that's starting to catch up now. And so Bumgarner, on the other hand, is about maybe where he should be, sea level wise. And Taylor mentioned the matchups are going to be tougher. So I feel pretty strongly about this one. I think Thor maybe has figured something out. I'm going to go with Syndergaard. I'm going to make it my home run.
So it's down to me, because if this Mets fan picks the Mets to win more of Syndergaard's starts for the rest of the year than the Giants to win Bumgarner's, we will be unanimous for the entire show, which would be a first, because we have agreed on every single pick to this point. Not necessarily the confidence level, but we've all agreed on the same pick. And I love Syndergaard. So happy he's there. Thrilled the Mets are hanging on to him. And I'm taking Bumgarner as my triple. So I'm changing it up. We're at least going to have a 1 to change it a little bit. The Mets are 12-9 in games this year that are started by Thor, including a 5-4 mark in games where he ends up with a no decision. And that, for me, is key. Giants are just 13-10 in Mad Bum starts this season, but they're 7-3 in games where he gets a no decision. And yes, there have been some bullpen moves that have been made at the trade deadline for the Giants, but there have not been bullpen moves made by the Mets at the trade deadline. Bumgarner's now won 3 straight decisions. The Giants have won 6 of his last 7 starts over that stretch. Giants are likely going to be the better team, I think, in the final 2 months of the 2019 season. I don't see the Mets competing. I know the Dodgers are a much better team than what the Mets have to contend with, but the Braves have made some moves. They're still my pick, which we're going to get to in a second, to win the NL pennant. And the Mets are currently in 4th place. They're dealing with wildcard teams as well within their division. I'm going to say that the Giants get more wins in games that Bumgarner starts than the Mets do in games that Syndergaard starts. That is going to be my triple. So it is not going to be a unanimous show from top to bottom. We have at least 1 deviation on it. And before we wrap things up, we're checking back in on our World Series picks. I've got Atlanta plus 370 to win the National League, Houston plus 170 to win the American League. My bookie removed betting lines at least temporarily as the trade deadline came to a close, understandably so with all the moves that were being announced at the deadline in those moments after too. So new ones are still not posted as of an hour after the deadline passed. So this week's new numbers come from within 24 hours of the trade deadline. The Braves moved to plus 400. So I'm going to take that and add some value to my play. Astros, meanwhile, now the betting favorites to win the American League, overtaking the Yankees, coming in at plus 150. I'm going to stay with them, keep the odds that I had. Taylor, you have the Astros locked in at plus 180, the Dodgers at plus 170. As I mentioned, Houston plus 150, LA even money plus 100 to win the NL. Any changes you'd like to make?
Nope. The Astros got Zack Greinke. The Yankees and Red Sox didn't do a single thing at the deadline, really. So feeling pretty good about that. And the Dodgers didn't really need to do anything. They didn't need a splashy move necessarily, and they look fine. I got good value. They're at even money now. I got better than that. So standing pat.
And they've been minus 110 at different points, too, to win the NL pennant, which blows my mind as good as they've been. So, Jim, you've locked in the Yankees and the Dodgers. Already went over LA's movement. The Yankees were plus 230 when you locked them in. Now plus 180. No longer the betting favorites in the American League. Still some good value there with that plus 230. Any changes you'd like to make? Do you want to make it this is a show of being unanimous on things. Do you want to make a change and make something unanimous?
Yeah, I'm going to make a change because, all along I've been saying each week that I had the Yankees, but I was looking to see which of the two, the Yankees or the Astros, would acquire a starting pitcher. I never thought it would be somebody the caliber of Zack Greinke. And, the fact that the Astros go out and get him, the Yankees don't really do anything. I don't think things are as dire as some people are saying for the Yankees. But, I don't know how you could pick them in a one-on-one series against Houston when Houston can throw out Verlander, Greinke, and Cole the first three starts. That's crazy. So I am going to switch my pick. Not much value in doing it right now, but I think they're the team that makes the World Series. I'm going to switch my pick to Houston.
So Houston plus 150. We now all agree on the American League, and I just don't see the value in moving to the Dodgers at any point with them being even money. So I'm sticking with my value play on the Braves in the National League. So that will do it for this very in agreement edition of Betting for the Cycle. Be sure to check back next week. We'll show you the stats of how we did and give you our latest picks. For Jim Baviglia and Taylor Smith, I'm Drew Goldfarb. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.